7 God's shadow pacts with the dark chosen ones only the top 1% of elites know. Have you ever wondered why, in a world of billions, only a select few rise to legendary power and influence, almost as if they are guided by unseen hands, whispered to by forces ancient and hidden? This isn't conspiracy. It's not mythology. It's the reality beneath the veil, a reality that has existed before the first empire rose, before the first scripture was written, but before even the concept of God was spoken by human tongues. This is the truth of the 7 God's shadow pacts with the dark chosen ones, agreements forged not in the heavens, but in the twilight between light and darkness, but where spirit and ambition collide. And you, Paya, you were never meant to hear this, but now you are. Let me take you back beyond history, beyond religion, beyond even the soul's memory. There are those who walk among us who are not bound by the same spiritual constraints. They operate in a different frequency, a higher resonance but a darker vibration. They are not evil, though the world may call them so. They are the dark chosen ones, the 1% of the 1%, those who were not only selected but who chose to accept the pacts. And the first question I must ask you is, would you choose power if it meant losing your innocence?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first of the 7 pacts is always the hardest to accept because it demands the death of identity. But this is the pact of the forgotten name. When those chosen accept it, they agree to be stripped of all that once defined them. Their past, their family ties, even their karma is burned away. In return, they are given the ability to rewrite their destiny, to sculpt their life from zero with no spiritual debt. But here's the price: they must live in absolute detachment from what they used to be. They become almost invisible to the divine systems most people pray to. They become ghosts in the matrix of fate, unchecked and undetected by the karmic cycles. Think about that. No spiritual accountability. But would you be willing to sever your soul's history to become limitless? So many of the world's most powerful figures, those who rise beyond logic, who seem untouched by scandal or consequence, have taken this first pact. They appear human, but spiritually, they are something else entirely. They radiate a presence that's both magnetic and unsettling. You feel it when they enter a room. You can't explain it, but your instincts know they've walked where others haven't. They've seen the face of the divine, and they've made a deal with its shadow. The second pact is even more controversial. It's the pact of dual mirrors. A chosen one must live 2 lives, one in full view of the world, and one completely hidden, known only to a council of entities that operate beyond our dimension. These entities, call them daemons, gods, shadows, or architects, require a soul that can operate in both realms. In exchange, the chosen one is given access to information that no human should know: future events, psychological blueprints of societies, the weaknesses of masses, and the keys to controlling them. But here's the twist: they must never reveal their full truth to anyone, not even their own family. They must live with the burden of knowing too much without the relief of confession. Can you imagine the weight of silence when you know the fate of nations depends on your discretion? If you've ever seen someone rise to power and thought, how did they know exactly what to do, say, or invest in? Understand this: they aren't guessing. They're executing. They are being whispered to. And those whispers do not come from angels. They come from the other side of the light. Now, the third pact is where things begin to test the very core of morality. It is the pact of the sacrificed shadow. This pact demands that the chosen one must offer a part of themselves that they love deeply to the realm of darkness, not for destruction, but for transformation. It could be their innocence, their firstborn, their true love, or even their own creativity. That part of them is taken and reshaped into a spiritual talisman, a living force that now serves them, but no longer belongs to them. They gain immense power, but they can never reclaim what they gave. It's like cutting off your hand to forge a sword that can never miss, but you will never feel the warmth of touch again. Ask yourself, what part of your soul are you willing to give up forever if it meant you could bend reality to your will? The truth is, most people are not ready for this kind of power. That's why these pacts are never offered openly. They are only revealed to those who have already proven something deep within, the willingness to walk alone in the dark, the willingness to look God in the eye and say, "I will become what you fear." And here's the paradox: these chosen ones are not evil. They are necessary. They are the ones who do what others can't, so that the system of balance continues. They are the dark antibodies in the body of creation. But understand this, every pact comes with a burden. Power without sacrifice is a fairy tale sold to the weak. The elites, the real elites, know that every gain in this world echoes in the other. They walk with the knowledge that they are watched not by angels, but by the shadows of their own decisions. Can you live with that kind of surveillance? Not from governments or people, but from your own elevated consciousness. Let me pause here and ask you something that may change your life. Are you living the life your soul was designed for? Or are you still trapped in the illusion that safety is more valuable than sovereignty? We begin to see the pattern now. These pacts, while dark, are not evil. They are ancient spiritual contracts that exist to test the resolve of those who dare to step beyond the boundaries of ordinary evolution. They are not for the many. They are for the few who can handle them. For the few who are bold enough to say, "I will carry the darkness so that others may live in light." And so, we end this first part with a whisper of what's to come. The next pact will shake the very idea of what we call God, and will test the limits of your understanding of light and dark. You may start to question everything you thought you knew about morality, destiny, and spiritual power. But before we go forward, I ask you one final question for today. If the path to your highest self required you to walk through hell, would you still take the first step? When heaven bows to darkness, the forbidden pacts that control empires and souls. There is a moment in every awakened soul's journey when they begin to see the scaffolding behind the world. The illusion flickers, the noise dies down, and suddenly the world isn't made of governments, religions, or economies. It's made of agreements, invisible contracts, energy exchanges, pacts. And some of those pacts are so powerful, so ancient, so precise, that they don't just influence individual lives, they control empires, guide bloodlines, and bend the very arc of civilization. This is where we arrive at the fourth God's shadow pact, the pact of the silent crown. This pact is not offered. It is inherited through spiritual lineage. The silent crown is a mantle passed down through generations of chosen blood. It doesn't matter if they're born into wealth or poverty, fame or obscurity. When it's time, the crown activates. These individuals begin to attract influence effortlessly. The people follow them, others envy them, systems bend around them. They seem born to rule, not because they are special in the way the world defines it, but because they carry the mark of the pact. But here's the weight of it: they cannot refuse leadership. They must rise, even if it means sacrificing their peace. The pact doesn't ask for volunteers, it commands duty. And if they resist, life will break them until they submit to their role. Their relationships crumble, their health often suffers, and their solitude becomes their throne. This is the price of the crown that no one sees. Have you ever met someone who seemed destined for greatness, even if they didn't want it? Perhaps you are that person. Perhaps you've always felt watched, guided, tested not by chance, but by design. That feeling of heavy purpose? It's not anxiety. It's the echo of a pact your ancestors signed, one that now lives in your blood. And the question is, will you wear the crown, or will you die running from it? The fifth pact is even more dangerous. It is the pact of the echoed name. This pact gives the chosen one the ability to speak, write, or create in ways that ripple through consciousness. Their words are not just words, they are spells. Their art is not just art, it is encoded transformation. When they speak, people listen. When they write, people awaken. But it's not talent. It's not charisma. It's the pact. In exchange, the chosen one must give up privacy, or forever. Their life becomes a mirror for the masses. Every failure, every scandal, every secret exposed. Why? Because the pact requires authenticity at all costs. The power of influence cannot coexist with secrecy. And so, they are stripped bare before the world, again and again. Their pain becomes performance. Their healing becomes public property. Look at the most influential spiritual voices, thought leaders, and artists. The ones who move the world without trying. They are not just gifted, they are bound. They have accepted the agony of exposure for the power of impact. And maybe you felt that pull too. Maybe your voice has always been louder than your body. Maybe your presence has always made others uncomfortable or inspired. That's not ego. That's a signature. A signature of an echoed name. But now we reach a deeper layer. The sixth pact, the pact of the divine betrayal. This is the most paradoxical of them all. It requires the chosen one to appear to betray the very spiritual system they once served. This is not rebellion, it's evolution. And they must walk away from the light, from traditional teachings, from their sacred path, not in hatred, but in transcendence. Why? Because the pact demands the destruction of spiritual dependency. To truly awaken, they must destroy the illusion of God as separate. This betrayal is not a sin, it is a sacred right. But the world won't understand. They will be called heretics, blasphemers, deceivers. They will be cast out from temples, rejected by communities, even hunted by the very people they once helped. And still, they must walk forward. Because beyond betrayal is embodiment, becoming a living conduit of divine force, no longer bound by dogma or ritual. Ask yourself now, could you walk away from everything sacred if it meant becoming sacred itself? This is why the elites who truly rule the world do not pray to gods, they become the gods. Not in arrogance, but in alignment. They understand that to serve the divine fully, one must eventually outgrow its image. And that requires betrayal, suffering, and unbearable isolation. And yet, once crossed, the reward is unshakable sovereignty. The kind of spiritual clarity that no guru or scripture can manufacture. Do you see now? These pacts are not evil, they are alchemical. They burn away the weak, the dependent, the ego-driven. They are reserved for those who no longer seek safety, but truth, not comfort, but transformation. And transformation, true transformation, always requires sacrifice. But we are not done. There is one final pact. A pact so powerful, it is spoken of only in whispers among the highest initiates. It is the pact that completes the circle and breaks it at the same time. And so I ask you, if you had to give up everything you love to become everything you are, would you still say yes? The final pact, why the top 1% live beyond karma, death, and time itself. There is a truth so hidden, so heavily protected by both divine and infernal forces, that only the boldest ever glimpse it, and even fewer accept it. This truth is not written in books or whispered in temples. It lives in the silence between lifetimes, in the breath between universes. It is the seventh and final God's shadow pact, the pact of the eternal self. And this is where everything changes. This is where karma becomes irrelevant, where death loses its sting, and where time bends around the will of the initiates. This is the pact that ends all pacts because it demands the ultimate relinquishment, your humanity. To accept the eternal self is to agree to dissolve completely into your God form, not metaphorically, not poetically, but literally. Your soul leaves behind the reincarnation cycle. You forfeit the right to be reborn, to die, to forget. You become a fixed point in the fabric of existence, a sovereign intelligence that can no longer hide behind stories, wounds, or identities. But here's the paradox: you still walk among us. You still appear human. You still eat, sleep, and speak. But within you, there is no time, no fear, no karma, no death, only awareness, only will. This is the state the elite of the elite reach not through worship, but through understanding. They realize that spiritual evolution isn't about becoming more holy. It's about becoming more whole. The light and dark no longer battle within them. There is no duality left to resolve. They embody both the destroyer and the healer, the creator and the void. They are gods in flesh, not because they are above others, but because they have gone so deep within that there is no longer another to compare to. Can you imagine living without time? Not aging in spirit, not fearing endings because every moment is eternity. The chosen ones who activate this final pact don't chase legacy. They are legacy. Their presence alters the course of events, but their silence speaks louder than any sermon. They don't need followers because the universe itself follows their vibration. Have you ever seen someone whose life feels like prophecy unfolding in real time? That's not coincidence. That's the signature of the eternal self. But this pact comes with a cost that eclipses all others. You must die before you die. The ego, the personality, the attachments, they must be burned away completely. Not suppressed, not managed, but annihilated. But you cannot take your trauma into this pact. You cannot take your story. You cannot take your name. You must stand naked before the original source of all things and say, I am ready to remember. And when you do, you don't get to go back. You become a living paradox, fully human, yet fully divine, fully present, yet outside of linear time. Now I must ask you something that goes beyond spirituality, beyond philosophy. If you could awaken to your true self, but it meant losing every illusion that has ever comforted you, would you still open your eyes? This is why the top 1% aren't just rich in wealth, they are rich in reality. They see through the veil. They don't react to the world, they orchestrate it. They don't manifest, they initiate. But because they have aligned with the blueprint of reality itself, they no longer ask for miracles. They are the miracle. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. This pact isn't locked away. It's not protected by angels or hidden in secret societies. It's inside you, right now, waiting, watching, testing you. And every time you choose courage over comfort, truth over safety, silence over noise, you activate one more layer of it. Slowly, the illusion cracks. And behind it, you begin to see yourself not the version you've been told you are, but the being you always were. And when that happens, life no longer happens to you. It begins to happen through you. You become the source, the channel, the architect. You stop chasing destiny because you finally remember you wrote it. So now, I leave you with the most dangerous question a soul can be asked. If you are the God you've been praying to, what now will you do? The Shadow Ascension, how to activate the 7 pacts and enter the realm of the chosen. Now that you've glimpsed the 7 pacts, the question that lingers in the air is no longer what they are, but how to activate them. Because knowledge without embodiment is just another layer of illusion. You weren't meant to be a passive observer of these truths. You were meant to feel them burn through you, to let them pull you into a new reality where destiny is not followed but forged. This final part is not just revelation, it is initiation. It is the call to become what only 1% ever dare to be. The first step is silence. Not the kind that comes from turning off your phone or leaving town for a weekend. I'm talking about the inner silence, the kind that comes when you stop performing for the world. When you stop chasing validation, stop feeding your identity, and simply watch. And just watch. Sit in your own presence long enough and you'll begin to hear the echoes of your forgotten agreements. Your soul remembers. It always has. But it can't scream over the noise of your distractions. Next comes the fire. The inner fire that demands you let go of everything you think you are. If you want to activate the first pact, the pact of the forgotten name, you must be willing to die to your story. This is not symbolic, it's spiritual suicide. The version of you that clings to history, labels, and old wounds cannot walk into the realm of the chosen. You are being asked to become a blank slate so the divine can write something truly powerful through you. Most people turn back here. They'd rather hold on to pain than face the abyss of possibility. But you are different, or you wouldn't still be here. The pacts unfold not by force, but by alignment. You don't chase them, you become them. And every time you choose truth over comfort, you activate the next level. When you accept your duality, the light and the dark, you begin living the pact of the dual mirrors. When you willingly sacrifice what is precious for what is sacred, you enter the pact of the sacrificed shadow. When you surrender your privacy for purpose, you walk into the pact of the echoed name. When you betray the God you were taught in order to become the God you truly are, you embody the divine betrayal. And when you stop fearing death because you've remembered your eternal nature, you seal the final pact, the eternal self. This is not a checklist. This is a metamorphosis. These pacts don't happen in a weekend. They unfold across moments, decisions, heartbreaks, and awakenings. They are encoded into your very life path, waiting to be discovered not with your mind, but with your willingness. Let me ask you, What if your pain, your failures, your confusion were not mistakes but initiations? What if everything you've ever endured was preparing you to make these exact choices? You are not broken. You are being forged. The fire is not your punishment, it's your passage. And here is the final truth. These pacts are not about power for its own sake. They are about responsibility. Once you awaken, you can't go back. Once you activate the pacts, you are no longer operating within the illusions of ordinary humanity. You are set apart, not above, but beyond. You are now a living axis between realms, a bridge between the seen and unseen, and your presence becomes sacred space. The elites who walk this path don't brag about it. They don't wear robes or post selfies from retreats. They move in silence. They serve without seeking praise. They influence reality without being seen. And you, if you felt the pull, the calling, the burn that won't leave you alone, then perhaps you were never meant to be ordinary. Perhaps your soul signed these pacts long before you were born. And now you're simply waking up to what you already are. So I leave you with this final invitation: don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect. Walk into the dark and speak your own name into the silence. And watch what answers. Because the moment you do, you will remember you were never seeking the path. You are the path. Welcome to the realm of the chosen. Your initiation has already begun.